Hello everyone, welcome back to my next video. Today I will tell you a true story about a friend of mine who had an experience staying at a hotel. If you find it interesting, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, please join the story. I've always lived like a nomad, a person without a true home in the conventional sense. My life is a series of endless roads, shifting winds, and countless towns forgotten by time. I write a travel blog, chasing strange pit stops, cheap motels, nameless diners hiding stories no one has ever told. Hotels, to me, are simply places to crash a quiet pause between journeys. Bland, forgettable rooms with stiff sheets, yellowed ceiling lights, and the eternal hum of a mini-fridge have become familiar companions. I arrive, sleep a night, leave, and never look back. But there was one night, one place, that shattered every sense of safety I'd ever associated with those lifeless rooms. A rundown motel off a desolate desert road in Nevada, a place I should never have stopped. It was 2019, just another solo trip like countless others. I was on the hunt for strange roadside spots, those rarely seen places, perfect material for my next article series. I hadn't planned to stop at the Desert Rose, it wasn't even listed on any map or booking app, but that night, after nearly 13 hours of non-stop driving through Nevada's scorching, dusty wilderness, my body was too exhausted to go another mile. I saw a faint motel sign by the roadside, an old, flickering neon board, half of the word desert already burned out. The lobby was suspiciously empty, filled only with the stale mix of old cigarettes and lemon cleaner that hit me the second I pushed open the door. An emaciated old man with frayed gray hair sat behind the reception desk, eyes glued to a crossword puzzle. He didn't look up when I approached, just slid me a metal key, one of those ancient ones you hardly ever see in modern hotels. Room 214, quiet floor, he said, pulling his mouth into a crooked smile, though his eyes were blank, like dusty glass. I shuffled into the elevator, a wheezing, groaning machine that sounded like it hadn't seen maintenance since the Reagan era. The buttons were faded, the floor damp, and every time it started moving, I felt like I was standing in a vibrating coffin. Room 214 was unremarkable, bland floral wallpaper, a sunken queen bed, an old TV with only a few static-filled channels, and a sickly yellow light like it had been wrapped in a dirty brown cloth. I tossed down my backpack, kicked off my boots, collapsed on the bed, and opened my phone to check tomorrow's route. But before I could even breathe a sigh of relief, I heard it. A faint whisper, like a voice speaking coming from somewhere very close. I sat up, holding my breath to hear more clearly. It wasn't coming from the next room or the hallway, it was inside the wall. A steady whisper, soft but distinct, as if someone was speaking to themselves or to someone else. The voice was unrecognizable, muffled, choked by cold plaster. At first, I thought it might be pipes or wind slipping through cracks. Old motels often made weird noises. But the sound kept going, unbroken, and it grew clearer. There was rhythm, words, a real conversation, though I couldn't understand the meaning. A chill crept through every cell of my spine. I called down to the front desk. The old man answered. When I asked if anyone was staying in the room next door, he replied curtly, "You're alone up there. Whole floor's empty, old building noises are normal. Don't worry about it." Before I could say more, he hung up. A deep sense of isolation and unease began to settle inside me. Midnight, I still couldn't sleep. The whispering had evolved, now clearer sentences, multiple voices overlapping like a soft, eerie choir. It chilled me to the bone, and strangely, I began to feel. They were talking about me, not to me, about me, like invisible eyes were watching, tracking every move, every breath. I turned on the TV, cranked up an infomercial to drown it out, no use. The whispers still slipped through, echoing inside my ears, as if they came from within my own skull. I jumped up, pacing the room, eyes scanning every corner. No vents, no hidden doors, nothing out of place. Until I saw a slight bulge in the wallpaper near the headboard, like it had been hastily patched. My hand trembled as I pressed it. The wallpaper peeled back to reveal a thin wooden panel, a hidden compartment. I pried it open. Inside was a shallow cavity, just the length of a hand. Stuffed inside papers, aged, yellowing sheets brittle like ash. Some handwritten in blue ink, some typed in an old-fashioned font. I pulled one out, a letter dated 1974, addressed to someone named Margaret. Shaky handwriting, nearly illegible, describing how something was watching the writer from inside the walls. Another was a police report from 1982, documenting a guest's disappearance from room 214. I kept reading. With every word, my chest tightened. A Polaroid photo, a woman I didn't recognize, her eyes locked on the lens, frozen in absolute terror. And then I found a small leather-bound diary, so old the cover flaked apart as I opened it. It belonged to Clara, a woman who stayed here in 1995. She wrote about the whispers, the constant feeling of being watched, shadows slipping through mirrors and wall corners, and a presence that grew stronger each night. The last line read, "They're not just voices, they're here. They want me to join them." 3 days later, according to a newspaper clipping, I found Clara vanished without a trace. I hurled the diary away, heart racing. The air in the room turned thick, like fog, no heavier than fog. Something pressing down, slow and suffocating, like something invisible crawling across my chest. The whispers now thundered like chanting, deep, resonant, horrifying. I grabbed my phone. The screen flickered. Battery dropped from 80% to 0 in 3 seconds. Total blackout. Then the lights flickered. Shadows on the wall twisted, stretching human-shaped, but not quite. I bolted to the door. The handle wouldn't turn. I yanked harder. A whisper sounded directly beside my ear, calling my name. I spun around, no one there. Just dead silence, and the whispers now turned to screams. Dozens of voices, pleading, laughing madly, murmuring in tongues I couldn't comprehend. I don't remember how I got the door open. Instinct, maybe, but I sprinted out with only my wallet and car keys. The hallway was pitch black, lights flickering, and I swear I saw movement in the corners of my eyes, figures watching me from the doorways. I ran down the stairs, out into the parking lot. The front desk was empty. The old man's crossword still sat unfinished on the counter. I drove nonstop until sunrise, not slowing until I reached a gas station at dawn. A week later, I tried looking up the motel. Desert Rose officially shut down in 2020, abandoned after a wave of complaints about unexplained phenomena. Locals say it's haunted by guests who never left, their souls trapped in the walls by something that never sleeps, never gets full. I never went back. I don't even stay in hotels anymore. I choose guest houses, or sleep in my car, but sometimes in the stillest hours of the night when everything is silent. I still hear that whisper, calling my name. Today's story ends here. See you again in the next stories. Goodbye and see you again.